What's up, guys? CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new episode of the Superfriends podcast. And you can see me. You can see all of us, including Nick.
All of us.
Nick, who's joining us live from his car. It's a nice jacket you got on, bud.
I just drive.
You just drive. That's the.
Nick drives while he does these with the top
and
down.
Nick, he drives the van.
He drives the mystery mobile. I was going to come up with something for Super Friends, but I couldn't in 3 seconds. But welcome to another episode. This is number 62?
60.
Wow.
62. Wow, I remembered it for the very first time. And I'm back, as always, with the usual suspects. Of course, you've heard me introduce Nick. We've got Luke here, who you can see is rocking some great facial hair and a Superman shirt fittingly.
Superman.
I'm wearing a Rogue One shirt, which I ran upstairs, and this is the only one I could find when I remember
This
we were
was
doing
the
this
only
on camera.
clean piece of clothing in the house.
Dude, where's your
True,
Teen
nothing
Titans
else.
shirt?
Not even wearing pants right now.
I'm not. You can't see. I mean, I'm going to let you in on a production secret here, and if you're watching Super Friends, you're getting a big production secret. I don't wear pants for most of the H&M. Like, I'm just standing there in my boxers half the time. I've started to, but only because of my new setup. I have to have an HDR in a pocket, and
It makes you feel more confident.
No, you're a
it does. It
commando.
really does. That's the secret sometimes. I mean, just off camera, if they only. But no, not really. And we were also here joined with Tim Al Ghul, rocking another awesome goatee. I
How's it
feel
going,
horribly
guys?
inadequate. I've got no facial hair here. They decided to let me host this episode, which just doesn't seem right now. But
Seems like a terrible mistake.
it always is when you guys let me do this, because you know, if you've been to the we do meetings every week. These guys have heard me talk more than any people on the planet, and I'm including my family in that. But oh, good God. Okay, so where are we going to start? I guess we got to start with some big news, guys. This episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate, of course. You can save 10% on any subscription just by using our exclusive link, www.trylootcrate.com/hybrid network. And then once you're there, they'll ask you for a promo code. You just use the promo code BRIDGE10. Loot Crate, it's amazing, guys. I mean, it's this cool subscription service. They send you a box of cool goodies each month. And this month, it's Origins. We talked about this last week. It's Origins. They're going to have stuff from Marvel. They kind of tease some Captain America stuff, some stuff from DC, some stuff from Nintendo, a lot of things,
Turtles.
and the Ninja Turtles as well, which is great. They're just going to included with each box this month. I'm told will be a bucket of radioactive slime, so you too can become a teenage mutant ninja.
You too
something.
can learn the secret of the
Something.
ooze.
There you go.
One in every 100 boxes gets a special box of ooze.
I'm getting a call. Hold on. I'm so sorry to hear that. Our partnership with Loot Crate has just been canceled. No.
Oh,
We advertised inappropriately the
Shame.
radioactive slime, which is actually going to be in next month's box. No. But anyways, we actually have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about a little bit about the new Damian Wayne Batman game, which has been all but confirmed because we're now hearing about it from outlets like Kotaku and Games Radar and stuff like that. It's being picked up and run by a lot of people. We've got some details on Wonder Woman, Justice League. We're going to talk a little bit about JL Action, and I'm going to be horribly not caught up. So these guys are going to talk about JL Action, and we're going to answer a ton of your viewer questions. Merry Christmas to you. We're just giving the gifts that keeps on giving. But how are you guys doing today? I figure I've bantered enough for all of us.
Kwanzaa.
Happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, guys.
Yeah.
happy Hanukkah week. It should still be going on Thursday.
It should. It should.
Enjoy your
No, happy
12
Christmas.
gifts.
I don't know anything about. I was gonna say I don't know anything about Hanukkah, but let's just cut that. We're gonna cut that out of the fun. No, no. But happy whatever you want to celebrate. This is a happy time of year for just about everybody.
Yeah, we hit
or it should
50K.
be.
Yeah, it's happy.
We did. I
Yeah,
can't
50K.
believe you did mention that. That was crazy. Thank you to Ridley Scott for making another Alien movie that we can make videos on.
Yeah, I gotta put a
it's
picture. I gotta
true.
put his picture with the cigar in the thumbnail.
You have to. It's just yeah, there you go. Ridley Scott. Just what does he have to do? Is he directing Dark Universe? What's going on? No. But no, it's incredible to hit 50K, and I'll make a video probably before Super Friends airs about a giveaway and stuff like that. It might be after though. But we just didn't expect to be here. Honestly, we never really kind of expected it would get this big. And certainly I remember now that we've been doing this for a couple months, you get tired of hearing that same thing every time we do like a 30K, 40K video. But we really honestly didn't expect it. But Josh was predicting 50K by the end of the year back in like October when we were at NYCC and we hit 40K. And I was like, dude, I've been like watching this very closely for the last like, you know, at that point it had been 10 months that I was really like deeply kind of like, I'm going to like try and, you know, get this ship in order and try and take a direct like control like route on this. And I was like, no, we're like averaging like 2,000 subs a month. Like we'll be lucky if we get to 45 by the end of the year. And then we hit 45 and I was like, okay, maybe 47 sounds like a reasonable goal. And then that Alien Covenant breakdown just welcome to all our new Alien Covenant subscribers that are horribly disappointed in this podcast already.
Dude, I keep telling them
not
we
nearly
gotta get
enough
AVP.
chest bursters.
We got to get the AVP cast.
Yeah,
The
dude, we
Alien
gotta get
versus
that.
podcast.
Yeah. It's just Nick talking
Just
in his
Nick.
car.
Yeah, it's just me talking about theories for like an hour.
You could do a call-in show. That would be great. Like Nick calls in. Like we could set up like a little.
Nick
voice
calls
box.
random people and tells them about Alien versus Predator
Talk to
stuff.
Papa John's. It's like, hey, Papa John's.
Hello, sir or madam. Do you have a moment to talk about aliens?
Oh god.
Yeah, speaking of AVP podcasts, I've actually been talking to the guy that administers the AVP Galaxy website actually, and I
yeah?
might be able to get on their podcast soon. So
That'd be dope.
Ooh.
Yeah, rep us a little
Oh.
bit, rep them a little bit. This is getting a little too inside baseball for me. So what do you guys say we start with the show?
yeah, all right. Stop talking about
All right.
shit.
We've given them a peek behind the curtain. They know too much now.
Stop jacking
But we
yourself.
have.
Keep going.
You only see but one of my hand. No.
Tell me you love me again.
We have some great new details potentially about the Damian Wayne Batman game, and as we mentioned in the beginning of the show, it started off as just a rumor on the NeoGAF forums and stuff like that, and now it's really picked up steam. It looks like something that they're actually doing. I mean, it's been picked up by major, gaming outlets like Kotaku. No matter how you feel about Kotaku, they are a pretty sizable source. Games Radar has made some articles about this, but we now have some great new leaks courtesy of BatmanArkham.com, and I think these actually came from a Reddit post that was actually removed. Is that correct? Does anybody? Nick, do you know? Or?
Yeah, I think most of the info was there. Yeah, someone leaked it, and yep.
Yeah, it was a Reddit post, and that's the fact that it was removed. Kind of, I feel like people like look at that and they're like, "Oh my god, it was legit." They were onto the secret. But I'm just going to run through these, and there's only a couple of different, only a couple of different things here. But I'll run through these, and then we'll get what you guys think. All right, we'll learn from the Superfriends cast and what these folks think, and then hopefully you'll comment with your opinions as well. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've talked about the Damian Wayne game. I was going to say, let's rehash, our opinions on what this is, but we've kind of talked about it in podcast past, so that's out there for them to find. But without further ado, let's get started. So, this post starts out with, it's more than likely that the game will not have Arkham in the title, which is something that the rumors actually addressed. This game is intended to kind of be a reboot as well as being a sequel, so it's kind of more like a relaunch, I guess. It'll also be the start of a new trilogy starring Damian Wayne as the main character. This is a really interesting thing to me. Imagine Batman Beyond, but with Damian Wayne. Terry McGinnis was originally considered, but they figured it'd be easier to sell Batman's son instead of a new character, which Waru...
It's easier to sell Batman's son than Batman's son these days.
Indeed. Waru will hate this, but that makes sense to me.
It's easier to sell the character that's only in comics than the character that had a cartoon.
Exactly. What's funny now is people that watch that cartoon and actually worship it like us are doing this.
That's
and
great.
Most people aren't. Yeah, but okay. Continuing on. Bruce Wayne is much older and he lives in the Batcave full time. Damian tracked him down and he is new to the Batsuit. So Damian tracked down Bruce. In this first game at least, he is very new. Alfred has passed away, which makes sense. 2016 is a bitch. Bruce serves in that mentor role. Which, kind of makes sense. But many of the villains have escaped. There are also new incarnations of many villains like Black Mask, who's a big character in the game, Poison Ivy. And as speculated, the Poison Ivy that died in Arkham Knight is the same Poison Ivy, but she transferred her consciousness to a new body. Man-Bat, someone else who tried to continue Kirk's work, Scarecrow, and Bane. So those are the big villains in this game. The Riddler is back, so is the Penguin, who is much older and has a bad cough.
No, he looks much older. He's not.
He is not much
actually
older. He just looks it.
He just looks it. But he's got to be near death. Like, Penguin was already, like, older than Bruce. But Two-Face is radically different and is a major villain. And there's a Kite Man side quest, according to the Post, and it is the best. Trust me. We're already trusting you. We're talking about you on our podcast. The visual aesthetic is bleaker than that of previous Batman games, and the city gives off a something happened here vibe. No more explanation than that.
Just something.
Just something. It's Gotham City.
Something's
In
always
Dark
happening.
Knight, Gordon talked about, like, we get semi-automatics, they get automatics, and eventually I feel like that escalated to, like, we get nuclear weapons, they get hydrogen bombs. Like, no. There's even a bit of fog to help push the darker atmosphere that much further, which is cool. There's still neon lighting, but it doesn't seem as prevalent as it did in the Arkham games. It doesn't seem as president. Things can
Doesn't
change
seem
in the
as
course
Trump.
of development. Featured landmarks
Poor
we can expect to
President
see.
Neon Lights got impeached in its first term.
There you go. R.I.P. Neon Lights. Things we can expect to see are the Monarch Theater, Gotham Corp, and even a rundown version of Wayne Enterprises. Together with the villains that have already been leaked, there will also be Katana, Talon, the DD Twins, and Mr. Freeze. Black Mask is female this time around, in line with the original Post. Her costume will be extremely sexy. Wow. Yet maintain a dose of class. And which seems to enjoy. She seems to enjoy treating her victims with both a syringe and a hammer. What that
Hopefully at the
means-
same time.
She
Oh,
likes
boy.
to beat people with a syringe.
But only after she's numbed them up. Oddly, the I think they meant PSN journalist. Oddly, the PSN journalist doesn't know anything about Penguin appearing in this game,
Despite mentioning him.
just by mentioning the Penguin. Talia and Ra's al Ghul are back in a flashback mission involving Damian's childhood, which makes sense. Harley Quinn leads a Joker cult, but is a side quest this time around, and they want to stray away from the Joker type stuff, which makes sense if they're trying to relaunch this. Most think Bruce Wayne is still Batman. Some of the villains even say things like, "Hello, Brucey," and "Mr. Wayne, come to die." Of course, it's not Bruce in the suit. Jason Todd is in the game. He feels bad over the events of Arkham Knight, so there's a pretty direct reference, but he still goes around killing criminals.
Feels bad.
Dick Grayson, speaking of another Robin, also serves as a mentor. He wants to go into retirement, but something stops him from doing so. ...
Well, just get to the next one. It's the best thing in this entire post.
Josh, Tim Drake is out of the game.
Out of it!
Out. Azrael was mad that Batman didn't ask him to take up the mantle and has become the villain, which makes sense. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty direct progression. The location is Gotham City, as has been, I was going to say alluded to, but directly stated, actually. It's not abandoned or evacuated. Some areas are where the villains reside mostly, but there are plenty of civilians in Gotham, as well as a crime system in which Damian is alerted of nearby crimes in progress, like muggings, carjackings, robberies, etc. And you can't go on most roads, as cars will hit you. I don't understand that. Is it like or is it like the PlayStation Spider-Man game, where if you go down to the road, it's like you'll automatically die?
I just want to imagine that he lands on the road and then all of a sudden just cars come out of nowhere.
You get a cutscene.
I want to
It's like
imagine
he lands
he
on the
lands
road.
on the
You get a
ro- he
cutscene
lands
where he
on the
stands
road.
up and then you see the headlamps and it's like, oh fuck.
I want to imagine he lands on the road and he looks around. He's surrounded by cars that have ambushed
In a circle around him, all revving their engine.
This next point is one of my favorite things about this details. It's Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system is in the game, and I'll mention why I like this in a little bit. It ties into these crimes that were just mentioned. If the criminals get away when you're chasing them down or kill you, they continue to commit crimes and become noticed by the various gangs and villains. They'll receive equipment from those gangs and villains. It can actually be recruited by them, and they keep committing bigger and bigger crimes. And they'll start to actually lead squads of bad guys if Batman keeps failing. And eventually, they can adopt a criminal persona. There are a ton of them. And which one they adopt depends on which villains support them, which is kind of cool. And even if Batman stops them, the villains can break them out if they were a high-level criminal. And you have to keep sending them back to jail and thwarting their plans to stop them for good. That's really interesting, and we will talk about that in a second. The Batmobile is not in this game, but it could appear in a specific part of the story. In the original leak, it said that he was actually going to have a Bat bike instead of a Batmobile, which might be why it's not in the game. And the goal is to get a trailer at E3 and to expect the game in Q1 and Q2 of 2018. So we should be getting even more information very, very shortly. Now there's a lot to take in about that game, about these details. My favorite thing is actually the return of the Nemesis system. Now, did you guys play Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah.
I didn't, but I know the Nemesis system.
Now, Shadow of Mordor was actually pretty fun, but really the most fun part of it was that Nemesis system. And despite the fact that you were basically an unkillable god already in that game, if somebody happened to get the best of you, they would essentially level up. They would become a harder villain and start, they would become a captain, I think. A little orc captain and start leading their own little squad. And that's kind of an interesting thing. It always felt like the Gotham games maybe could have used that a little, or the Arkham games could have used that a little bit. And now it's kind of cool to see that returning. And what's interesting is that's still in-house. It's not like somebody's taking that concept and moving it to another game. This is another WB game. So it makes sense for that to be kind of the return of that idea.
I'm looking forward to showing up in Crime Alley and killing a kid's two parents in front of him and seeing what happens.
There you go. I will say the whole way it's explained is kind of very contrived, and it seems like it's like, oh boy, if you don't stop him from, if this guy successfully jacks a car in front of Batman, he's gonna become the captain of this gang and noticed by villains and get his fancy hat. goddammit. And then he's gonna be.
These are the fancy hats, Tim.
The Batman.
We made it.
Legendary Batman villain Sir Fancy Hat.
The carjacker starts off his game known only as the Jackoffs.
There you go. Sir Fancy Hat and the Jackoffs. And then it just seems so contrived. It's like, so if this guy successfully jacks a car, what's going to stop you? Because the thing about the Arkham games is you are this, as I think most people in this envision Batman is, you're basically this unkillable god of kung fu and Krav Maga. You're just a world, there's no there's no street level thug in the game that I don't think I did not brutally concuss over the course of the
mighty dodge button.
Basically, counter OP. But it's kind of, it seems so contrived. It's like, oh, if this one guy gets the best of you, which I mean in Shadow of Mordor, to be fair, that happened. But it's one of those things where it's like there seemed like there were too many steps there, so maybe he just did a bad job explaining it. But are you guys excited to see that system make a return in this game?
I just want to see it come back because I want to exploit it to get the most hilarious outcomes possible.
You want Sir Fancy Hat and the Jackoffs is what you want.
I want some dude to be robbing a bank and then just watch him walk away, and then later he comes back and kills Black Mask.
I want that. I want to watch someone walk away and then come back later "Meh, Batman, I've returned and I'm robbing 3 banks this time."
There you go, 3 banks at once simultaneously. Good luck.
We are the 3 Stooges.
I really hope that comes back to bite you, because captains in that game they weren't impossible to kill, but they were a little bit harder than the average thug to kill. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you let this random thug who I used to be able to KO in 3 punches, if I let him get loose, maybe, just maybe, he'll be just about unkillable.
The last 1.5 getting punched in the face until he built up an immunity.
There you go.
I just mostly
like the evolution, man.
Yeah, I just mostly like the idea of crimes in the city, and when it says the city's populated, I just think that's kind of cool, because I think that's the closest we could ever get to Batman feeling like Batman. Because in the Arkham games, there was no one in the city in Arkham City but criminals and just people that were put in there wrongly. So I mean, it wasn't it didn't feel like I was really soaring over Gotham and saving people from bank robberies and stuff like Batman. And then in Arkham Knight, no one was out again.
No, they were the city's been mostly evacuated. But you won't see anybody. Good luck.
So I mean, the idea of stopping a bank robbery with a bunch of people at risk and stuff, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Nick, what do you think?
I think Batman needs to murder more people.
I have a movie recommendation for you then. No.
I mean, this is Damian Wayne Batman. He could kill people.
That's true.
Yeah, that makes sense for him.
I think that could be a plot point. Who knows? Maybe we're writing the next plot leak as we speak.
They're listening to our podcast now.
You're getting very excited, but we know nothing about this game.
It.
They are watching it
now.
This time, Nick, I'm going to end it that way for the first time, and you can't say shit this time. and people who've been watching long enough know what I'm talking about.
Well, thanks for tuning into this broadcast.
This broadcast instead of the
stream.
podcast. But yeah, thanks for watching. No, damn. I mean, are you guys more excited for the Damian Wayne game now, or are you less excited? I'm honestly more excited.
I'm more excited because all I want to do in that game is exploit the Nemesis system to get Damian like the most dangerous Gotham possible, and then watch him die.
If you kill enough of the Fancy Hat gang, you get a fancy hat, Tim. That's a new plot leak. I just saw it on Twitter, so you can do it.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah. Though the thing about this leak is that a lot of it is contradictory, since they call it a reboot and say it's not going to be Arkham, but then they make direct references to Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the original post said it was kind of going to be, it might not be under the Arkham masthead, but it was going to be connected in some ways. And that post on the NeoGAF forums was verified. It was, the admins talked to him and they were like, oh shit, you actually know what you're talking about. Which, I mean, it might mean fuck all, but I mean, now the fact that Games Radar and Kotaku were talking about it, it's kind of like, okay, maybe there's something to this if they can independently verify. But it seems like they're in a tough spot, and I kind of believe that it might be kind of a reboot, but very tangentially connected. Like, I could see it existing in the same world, but them wanting as little to do with it as possible,
Dude, I'm so hyped. I'm like Waru.
You and Waru are like, I mean, this is going to be Waru's game of the year. He's going to buy the deluxe edition with the statue of Damian Wayne with the fancy hat.
Just know Suicide Squad game died for this.
Well, that's the other thing is, like, people are saying that's the other piece of news that we might be able to talk about that did not get a lot of coverage. Reportedly, the Suicide Squad game is done. Reportedly, or did we talk about that last week?
Wait, that guy's...
we talked about it last week that
Yeah,
they
I think
canceled
they brought
it.
it up.
Suicide Squad game is canceled.
The leaker guy
Dunkin'
said that
Donuts.
Rocksteady is doing Superman, though.
Which is cool because, honestly, that's the game that me and Josh have been wanting since, like, we came up with... I say we. Josh came up with an idea for the game in, like, 2011. And it's pretty great. But Superman needs more love.
Not Wonder Woman, though.
Not Wonder
He doesn't deserve a game.
She's arguably maybe the one that would make the most sense, but
Yeah,
no.
Let's get the guy we can't kill.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, we do have another piece of news here about the Wonder Woman movie, and we've got actually a third piece of news that we'll talk about in a little bit. But the Wonder Woman movie has just confirmed a major DCEU, kind of a cool Easter egg. I was going to say it's an artifact from the DC Comics universe. It's only really existed for like a year and a half, so I'm not sure how crazy people are going to go about it. But it is kind of a cool little, subtle little Easter egg. So in the Wonder Woman movie, people have seen her. She's got the sword. She's got this, this cool thing that she breaks into the vault to steal. We got this new still in Entertainment Weekly. They did an article about the movie, and they got this new exclusive image from the movie, which is Wonder Woman actually stealing the sword from the Themysciran armory, defying the wishes of her mother, going out to fight with Captain Steve Trevor in World War I. The really cool little detail came in the fact of what the sword is actually called, what the sword actually is. It is called the God Killer Sword, which might sound familiar to some of you, especially if you've read any of Deathstroke's recent comic incarnation, specifically the arc called God Killer, I think, where he went to go slay an immortal titan, and to help him on this quest, Hephaestus, the god of the forge in Greek mythology, gave him a sword which conveniently changes appearance, which kind of explains why it doesn't look anything like that sword, but also basically gives you the ability to slay immortal beings. And this is huge because, well, it's maybe not huge, but it's kind of cool. It's a magical sword. It's really the kind of Easter egg I wanted to see from the Wonder Woman movie. And it kind of provides maybe a little connection to both Deathstroke and, I guess, the larger DC Comics universe as a whole. Ares as well. It could be.
Wasn't that Mayimbo's scoop? He's like, Ares wants the sword back or something, or?
It is. That's what I've heard. Is it's one of Ares. Like that was one of his old scoops from way early, like February or March. Was that in the Wonder Woman movie? Ares, I guess, wants the sword, and it's the sword of Ares. But I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of people saying Denny Houston might actually be Ares instead of the Duke of Deception. But I think he's probably the Duke of Deception. But who knows? It might be one of those things where since he's a demigod, son of Ares, he might be a little harder to kill or potentially immortal.
He also may be deceiving us.
There you go, potentially. I don't think he's really a German. But no, we'll see what happens there. But it could tie in the movie in that way where it's something that'll help them kill Danny Houston's character. It could also be that he's actually Ares, and there's it might actually give Wonder Woman a fighting chance to kill him. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the inclusion of the God Killer sword as kind of a, in my opinion, pretty subtle, sly little Easter egg?
I mean, it's cool.
It's cool.
It's a reference. So, there you go.
It's cool that they have the reference to it. It, like you said, it's a way to tie it into Deathstroke when he eventually comes in. So we'll see what comes from it. Right now, it's just a sword.
True. Nick, what do you think?
Dude, what does AAV Club think? That's all I care about.
That's a good question. I mean, well, to me, it's one of those things where this is kind of the thing that I wanted to see, from the DCU in general. Not just like, I don't want to say like, oh boy, respect for the source material, but I mean, kind of. But it's just like,
respect
for
the
the
world
references before to stuff. It's not just having something in there has made it fully accurate.
No, I mean it's one of those things where it's like Rogue One. The movie, it does create a couple of plot holes for Episode 4, but it's so clearly like in the way that it, to me at least, as somebody that literally grew up watching Star Wars and can't remember the first time he watched a Star Wars movie because it's so young an age. It's just, watching that movie and the Easter eggs. It's kind of a shitty crowd pleasing thing, I guess some people would say, but it's like it was just cool to see a movie that loves the source material enough to like throw that much stuff in there, or at least knows that people love the source material enough to throw that stuff in there and take advantage of my love for the source material. But
I think the latter could be applicable.
I want to believe, and so I do believe. But it's one of those things where it's just like, you could, so why don't you? And that's one of the things where I think the DCU is kind of lacking. That's one of those areas. It's like, you could definitely, given the fact that you're working on like 80 years of comic book history almost at this point.
It's about 5 paragraphs right there, CJ. Good job.
True. Let's throw some stuff in there. Let's throw some shit in there.
I meant in the comment section, but
true. I'm gonna get.
Damn.
That's
30
fucking dislikes right there. We're gonna talk about the DCU more in the next topic.
Oh no!
But,
Yay!
Speaking of the DCEU, if we're moving on, Justice League. This was actually pretty big. So Justice League is coming out later next year. I was going to say this year, but by the time this episode comes out, it'll still be 2016. This is our last episode of 2016. When Justice League comes out is November of 2017, I believe. And they actually released the press kit for the movie just this past week. And why that's particularly interesting is because they revealed there are 2 characters in the movie that had previously been unannounced, and they'd been unconfirmed. And those 2 characters are Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor and Connie Nielsen's Queen Hippolyta, who we haven't seen yet, but we'll see her in Wonder Woman in June of next year. And this is really interesting. Jesse Eisenberg had been teasing for months that he would reappear in the movie in Justice League. And we know he probably has something to do with Deathstroke, according to some rumors and reports. But 2 characters that definitely will play a role in the movie, according to that press kit. They were big enough that they got announced in the kit, so they're probably going to have at least something to do. What do you guys think of these additions, and how do you think they might be used?
Dude, where's
Nick?
Green Lantern at? Why isn't he confirmed?
He was announced. I think he's going to be an Easter egg. Like, he's going to show up at the end or something. But
God damn it.
I don't know.
Where's the Unite the Seven? Is Deathstroke the 7th?
Jesse Eisenberg is the 7th.
No.
He joins
Forever evil, fam. But no. Luke, what do you think about let's talk about Jesse Eisenberg. What do you think about Jesse Eisenberg being included? Seeing as he may or may not win worst actor.
There's continuity between films.
There's continuity.
Look, I'm just going to say I hope I like him better in Justice League. it's cool that he's there. I guess for people that like the franchise so far. For me personally, all I can really say is I hope I like him better.
Me too. I hope the people in the comment section are gentle, because you at least tried to find a silver lining.
He'll be like, you virgins, you comic book dorks.
I was going to say, if I was a dork, would I have my hair like this? But yes.
Yes, you
the answer
would.
is correct.
Lustrous hair. But
Tim, what do you think about Jesse Eisenberg like Luthor reappearing?
No, basically just the same things you said with that. I hope I like him better in this. Hopefully they tone him down a bit, restrain him, hopefully have him grow from the previous movie.
I mean, I agree with Luke to the extent that I'm like, okay, they've got this connection, they've kind of got this continuity now. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, and I'm falling into the same trap I did for Superman and Man of Steel, where I was like, he's finally realized the error of his ways by taking that life. He's going to become the Superman we know and love. Now I'm kind of hoping Lex Luthor shaved his head, talked to some alien demigod beast. He's going to become the Lex Luthor we know and love in Justice League.
Ding, 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 ding.
The camera's just gonna pan to Arkham, and it's just he's still doing ding, 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 ding.
Hasn't stopped.
Well, I mean, the one thing that kind of saves me is that he might be hiring Deathstroke. That's the rumor. Yeah. For those of you that didn't pick up on that, the rumor is that he is the one that hires Deathstroke to take out Batman, which is why Deathstroke appears in that test footage on the set of Justice League, and why Deathstroke is actually
it's his audition video for Lex Luthor.
There you go. It's his. He's like, this is my tape. I can walk menacingly in this C-130.
And then we shall get Batman v Deathstroke: Dawn of Injustice, and then we will have Blockbuster and Solomon Grundy as the main bad guys at the end.
I hope so.
But they'll look nothing like Solomon Grundy or Blockbuster.
I say I hope so, but that sounds like it might be as good as Spider-Man 3. But let's move on before we talk about it. Queen Hippolyta will also be in the movie, and this actually makes the most sense to me because we know that the prologue of the movie is going to be Deathstroke's first invasion, and we know that three mother boxes.
Darkseid.
Deathstroke
invaded Earth
30,000 years ago.
When Deathstroke crash landed on Earth.
So they're doing that thing like at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring where they showed the Sauron prologue.
Look! I'm doing my best impression of Goyer. But no, let's keep moving. But no, so Darkseid invaded 30,000 years ago, and the forces of the Atlanteans and the Themyscirans and humans had to team up to fight this invasion. And there were three mother boxes that ended up left on Earth because somehow they beat this advanced alien race. And the humans decided to bury theirs in the woods. They just dug a hole and they buried it in the woods somewhere.
That seems right, in all fairness.
It does seem correct.
Seems like something we do.
This is a valid box, but no.
Honestly, if you bury something in the middle of nowhere, who would think to look there for it?
Exactly. It's the perfect hiding place. Who could ever know?
If you put it in your vault, they're going to go into your vault to steal it, even if it's guarded. If you dig it in a hole, where are they going to start looking for it?
Especially with no map.
Guys, remember, these are humans trying to explain human act, but no. I mean, the Themyscirans apparently kept theirs in their vault, and I think we'll get a look at it maybe as an Easter egg in Wonder Woman, but that's where it plays a role. Like, we don't know what the Atlanteans are doing, but the Themyscirans still have their mother box, which is probably why Hippolyta is in there.
Dude, they're just ripping off Thor now.
We cut to Atlantis, you have one dude just hitting it over and over with a rock.
There you go.
Just been doing that for the last 3,000 years.
Dude,
it'll work eventually.
They're totally ripping off the Avengers now because, like, how they had, like, the what was it, the Tesseract?
The Tesseract.
Yeah, so, and then Odin's Vault and Thor had, like, the device, all that stuff in there.
Yeah. So there's this interesting thing where I just can't. I feel like this is the episode where finally someone's going to start the Change.org petition to get Nick off this podcast.
Why is DC just copying Marvel? Like, can't they come up with their own ideas?
They tried that.
40 dislikes. No, but
Queen Hippolyta.
I was gonna ask what you guys think about Queen Hippolyta being in the movie, but I feel like it's gonna be like.
I don't know.
I don't know how she's going to be.
So I have no strong feelings towards Queen Hippolyta.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Do you guys want to jump into viewer questions now, or do you guys want to talk about
Let's
just
do JL action first.
No,
All right.
questions, and then get out of here.
Do you guys? Because I haven't watched JL Action, so it would just be you guys talking about it for like, which is I'm sure for most of the viewers. Thank God. But it's good. It's still good.
Yep.
It's good.
Yes.
It's a good show.
Yeah, recent episodes have been good, getting even more characters in there.
Watch JL Action. All right.
Yes.
We do actually have a lot of questions in this episode, and we're going to try to answer them all.
Ooh.
I just read the first one, and now I want to kill myself.
Hooray!
Oh my God.
Starting enough strong.
All right, viewer questions. This one is from our longtime subscriber, and honestly my favorite person on the planet until as of about 30 seconds ago. Waru Crook. Hashtag Ask Superfriends. What if Zack Snyder directed a Nightwing movie?
It would be great, Kino. Next.
No complaints at all. He knows what he's doing. He's smart. He'll introduce all of the classic Nightwing elements
Yeah,
in
he's
there.
Cool.
like 300 with Nightwing.
It'll be cool when Nightwing kills people and bashes his Eskrima sticks into their skulls.
It'll be visually interesting in parts.
It'll be really cool
Tim
when
is probably the closest to how I feel about this. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he took the level, I was gonna say the level of camp that he introduced into like Sucker Punch, but even still, it was like drab. I mean, I don't know, man. If he could combine like the visual aesthetics of Watchmen with kind of the fun that he had with Sucker Punch, I feel like I would be fine with it. But it's one of those things where I don't think he would do that. So
I just
please, dear God, no.
But where will we find the name comparisons?
that's
That's where he shines.
True. Nightwing v. Fuck, I don't know. I'm going off recent comics. Raptor. Nightwing v. Raptor. Dawn
Nightwing
of
the brick.
shitty circus thieves. There we go. Shitty circus guys.
Good name. Good name.
Dick Grayson's mom's name is Mary, right?
Yes.
That can work. Mary, the
We
son
can
of
find
God.
someone to fight whose mom's name is Mary. We got
He'll
this.
fight Jesus. He'll fight Jesus
Nightwing
for the
versus-
spirit of Christmas.
There you go.
There,
Instantly,
okay.
$2 billion.
Just
Day
Colin,
I
one.
will
let's
say,
go to the
if
next
Zack
question.
Snyder puts the disco Nightwing suit in the movie, that will instantly be my favorite comic book movie ever, no doubt. He's got to do it.
It'll just be a random 10-second shot staring at
It could
that
be
suit
like
before he
it
leaves.
could even be like the Supergirl pilot thing where it's like trying on episodes. He walks out, he's got like the fucking domino mask and like the disco suit. He's like, I'm not wearing this. It's like, why did you make the whole fucking suit then? But I'd be like, fucking.
It was a
Just-
different time.
Oyson McMahon asks, do you guys have an iTunes? We don't yet. I think Nick included this one because we should, or no, Tim actually included this one because we should. We've considered it.
Dude,
We're
that's
looking
in
into
the works.
possibility.
Whatever. Stop bagging us about it. Next question.
Oyson in January, I can promise you, we will have we will have these on iTunes if it's possible. Magma Ascending hashtag Ask Superfriends. Who do you think will be the villains in Justice League 2 and 3? Darkseid for Justice League 2 for 3.
I'm gonna guess Orm.
What?
Orm.
Potentially.
ORM.
I'm gonna go and say I think Calabac for 2 and then Darkseid for 3.
Maybe. Nick?
I think they're just gonna do new guys.
Or you think so, Luke? You think they're copying Marvel? Like they're gonna save Darkseid for a while? Like
Well,
Steppenwolf will be
I
the
mean-
first one, and then
I
they're
mean,
gonna-
I would save
really
Darkseid
different.
for a while.
Wait, what? Oh, wait.
who do you think are gonna be the
I
villains?
guess
for
that
Justice
they
League
can
2?
do Darkseid next time and then do Legion of Doom.
That's
Dude.
potential.
Dude, there's all
They
these
could also-
rumors about the Crime Syndicate. So I'll say Crime Syndicate in some movie, and then like Starro, maybe. No,
Maybe.
probably
So
not.
no
really
Darkseid
want
at all.
Starro.
Because as we all know, we don't have enough invading alien forces with armies from space.
Okay,
True.
but this is different because it's a giant
Only-
starfish.
Haha.
Could happen. It could happen.
I just want Starro.
Do you guys enjoy Justice League action more than Young? Who did this also come from? Magma Ascending or
No, Waru.
I think
was this Waru?
Yeah.
I honestly forget who. I think it was Waru. Yeah.
Waru, you get the points anyways.
Yeah, I like
Hashtag
jail
Ask
action
Superfriends.
more.
Do you like
I do
jail
too,
action
actually.
more than
I do
Young
also,
Justice?
but
You guys are all wrong.
Well, I mean,
no
action
point
is
for
just
anybody.
really fun. Like Young Justice is really
Action
cool.
has all
but
the
I mean-
stuff that I want from a DC show in it.
Action is fun and it's got a lot of cool references, but I just think Young Justice is honestly probably pound for pound one of the best animated shows I've ever actually watched. It's
Like, Young Justice is really good. Storytelling wise, it's
Yeah.
very nice. But there are moments in Young Justice where like characters I just kind of drag something down, or like there's a story arc that I just don't really find that interesting. In like Justice League Action, every single one I've really seen, I've found some level of enjoyment in everything. It has been like, yeah.
this is the episode in which we piss every last segment of DC fandom off.
I mean, we're not saying it's
Justice
bad.
League Action fans will be happy.
There you go. Actually, the question
Dude,
was,
jail action is
I guess,
better
do you
than
enjoy?
GCEU.
well, I mean, that was a low bar. That's-
What's the next question?
Waru asks, what other characters do we want to see in JL Action?
Tim, this is my job, please. Waru asks, hashtag Superfriends, ask Superfriends, what other characters do you want to see in Justice League Action? Over to you guys.
There's
You
supposed
can
to be
still
over-
say this.
Yeah, there's supposed to be like 150 at least in season 1. So
I mean, there's
Lord,
already been
see.
so many.
Nightwing.
yeah, Nightwing. They should do him.
Nightwing! Yeah! Yeah!
Who do I want to see in it?
I would want to see. I mean, I don't know who I'd want to see in all honesty.
I guess I want to see Hawkgirl show up. She hasn't done it yet.
What about the Dibneys?
You know what?
Disney's would be cool to see.
You know what? I want to see the Wonder Twins.
I really want to see the Wonder Twins. They haven't been in anything in so long.
Yeah, they were really cool in Justice League Unlimited.
Form of an ice dragon.
Yeah. Dude,
I
they
mean,
even
that-
had Booster in one of the episodes in Shazam Slam, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I mean, that's the one thing like I like about Justice League Action is it seems to be kind of embracing the Justice League Unlimited bent of like we're gonna include like as many people as
no.
possible.
No, you know what? I want Guilty Gorilla to show up in Justice League Action.
No,
I
and
want
like
also-
Kongorilla.
Wait, what about the that one gorilla? Shit, what is his name from Justice League? I know it was
Grodd?
no.
Wait,
Shit.
which
Oh,
Justice League?
Ultra Humanite.
Yeah, him. He needs to be in there too.
That'd be
He would
dope.
be pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
Ultra Humanite a lot.
All right, Jalen asks hashtag Ask Superfriends, would you talk shit to Batman in his face? P.S. Each of you would wake up as different runs of Cyborg.
To answer Josh's
Jalen.
question from last week.
Jalen once again. Oh, I was gonna say like we wake up as different versions. I was gonna ask, do we wake up as different runs of Cyborg like in the beginning, or like before we talk
And
shit
then
to Batman?
talk
or,
shit
like,
No,
to
it's
Batman?
from last week, but he's answering Josh's thing about which cyborg we are.
Because if we know, like we'll wake up as cyborgs after we talk shit to Batman, then I'm not actually no, I would talk shit to Batman because I want like the laser cannon. But no,
Those two thoughts have nothing to do with each other directly.
so Jalen, I'm gonna ask. I asking if I would talk shit to Batman to his face. Like I know it's like he's standing in the suit. I mean, I'm about Batman's height given the, the comic. What the comics say he's about, like, probably my height. Definitely bigger than me. Definitely. I can't see a situation in which I would. You're not giving me any incentive to, so I'm going to say no. I generally don't talk shit to people's faces unless I know them. If I'm like Alfred, I might talk shit to his face, but I'm not.
I would.
Would you guys?
I would talk shit to Snyder Batman to his face.
You did, fam. Like,
I would die, but I mean, I would talk
luck.
shit to him.
Anybody talking shit to Batman?
I don't feel strongly enough about Batman to do anything in relation to him.
Well,
I
Tim's
would just
from-
acknowledge he's there.
Tim's from New York. Tim would just walk past Batman on the street. It's like whatever. Like like
Whatever.
Yeah.
You're not even the weirdest thing I've seen today.
probably not.
That's like the
given my
fifth
time in
best
New York.
costume I've seen on this block.
There you go. That's the best Batman costume I've seen in literally 50 feet. Nick, would you talk shit to Batman to his face?
What's the next question we have?
To reiterate, I would come back as the Afro, like 70s Teen Titans or 1981 Teen Titans cyborg. Just to be clear. Hashtag Ask Superfriends. Is Damian Wayne the reason why Tim Drake is so irrelevant nowadays? If that is the reason, then good, says Waru. This question is 100% because Josh was on the last episode.
Good.
But
The answer
really,
is yes.
It's really not the main reason. It's mostly just because they can transpose his skills onto someone else, and he doesn't have anything that notable about him that they can market off of.
What's funny is, like, Josh used to like to point this out when Young Justice was on, and the original Teen Titans, is since Tim Drake was invented to be kind of the computer-savvy Robin, it's like as the modern days have gone on, they've just ascribed that trait to any Robin. Like, he's just like a tech genius.
And it takes what was special about him away.
Exactly.
The only thing that's special about him is that he's a detective, but so few Batman adaptations are detective stories that there's really no place for him.
Yeah, I mean, and I think they've even made Dick Grayson pretty much a very good detective in recent stuff.
Yeah, he was a good detective on Teen Titans.
And it's one of those things where it's like, how would you not like pick up some of Batman's methodology after working with him for, a decade? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, that's one of those things that can be like, yes, Tim Drake might be the best, most natural detective of all of them, but it's one of those things that actually can be learned. The reason why Tim Drake... Go ahead.
It's like I said last week, there's nothing that really makes Tim stand out compared to the other Robins.
No. And it's because
Dick is the first Robin, so that's usually where they start. They wouldn't reference Jason at all had he not died and come back. Yep. The only reason they do Damian is because he's Batman's biological son.
Yeah, they've all got intrinsically special things, but the reason why Tim Drake is particularly irrelevant now is because in the New 52, to make space, because they decided that they only wanted to do like a 5-year time jump, they decided that they only wanted to do like 3 Robins, because having 4 Robins would somehow have ridiculously crossed the threshold. Like, oh my god, like he can't have had 4
at the start.
He could have done 5. So he had Dick, and then Jason Todd died, and then like, oh my god, like Tim was never actually Robin.
He was Red Robin, but he was still there.
I mean, he's got a picture with Batman, but it's one of those things where it's like the reason is it's a comic thing. It's in continuity, but also because if you ask people who is Robin, 90% of the time they'll say probably Dick Grayson, or they'll say Damian Wayne, or they'll say
Damian.
Who the fuck are you talking about?
They'll just say Robin is Robin.
Fucking
they'll
nerds.
say Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
There you go. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's if they think of someone, I think they think of Dick Grayson more than anybody else. Thanks, Adam West. But I mean, I don't know. He's just. I'm sorry, Josh, but Waru's right here.
I mean, it's a shame that DC hates Tim so much. It's not our fault.
It is. He's an interesting character. What's funny is they've iced him in Rebirth, and I don't think anybody except for Josh cares.
Teen Titans care.
There you go. Waru also Waru. Wow. Hashtag ask Superfriends, do you think the Damian Wayne Batman game needs a prologue that shows Damian being Robin and eventually becoming the Caped Crusader? I say no, because
it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that based on the leaks we just got anyway.
Based on the leaks, it sounds like he tracks down Batman, and Batman's like, I'm a cripple now. Take over for me. And Damian's like, okay. But...
With that exact voice.
Okay. When did he
Damian Wayne in this
I'm gonna go fight the villains now, Dad.
Damian Wayne in this game is played by Matt Post, which I would love if they got Matt Post to play Damian Wayne. If any of you know what that's a reference to, drop a line in the comment section down below, and I will send you a cookie through the mail.
I mean, didn't the leak say that there was going to be like some kind of flashback thing with Ra's and Talia? So I mean,
there's a flashback to Damian training, so he wouldn't have been Robin at that point.
I mean, it's still technically some kind of flashback thing, and I mean, but I don't know.
The way that they're doing this isn't so much like how they did in the comics, where it's a natural succession over time. It's basically that Bruce and Damian fell out of contact, and then Damian tracked him down and became Batman.
Well, it's not maybe not even that they fell out of contact. Maybe that he was just secretly trained with Ross and Talia, and then
because this is supposed to be like a soft reboot, right? And I mean, in that sense, if you look at the previous Arkham games, Damian was never Robin.
Right? Yeah. So it's one of these things, and Tim Drake is just not being in the game is kind of crazy. But
game.
I don't know. I part of me feels like he should be Robin at some point, but part of me also feels like, it would be cool to get like a Batman game where it's, maybe he doesn't know like anything. It's like year 1, like he's learning, but
he doesn't know anything.
Where he's not an unkillable.
He doesn't have.
How do I investigate
not
stuff?
A detective.
Just
you go.
destroys all the evidence in his first crime
Just a
scene.
shmup. It's like the GTA melee system. But
He picks up the gun and it drops into a vat of acid.
yeah, fuck.
Oh well, I guess I'll go beat
yeah.
up people until they tell me who did this.
There you go. Any other thoughts on the Damian Wayne if he was actually Robin, and we'll get a flashback to that? Nick, what do you think, actually?
I think that what he's talking about is like a playable section of the game, like at the beginning where you're just Robin, and then like it flashes forward to like older Robin, then it flashes forward, and now you're Batman. I think it's what he's going for.
And that's what DLC is for.
Well, what's funny to me is I would actually love this if it was like adapting like the Grant Morrison Batman and Robin, where Dick was Batman for a while. Like that would be dope. Like if we got that version, but I don't think we're gonna get that. I feel like from the leaks, it seems like just a straight cut. Like it's like
It's basically like they said, just Batman Beyond with Damian instead of Terry.
Yeah, exactly. But
which again makes no sense, but whatever.
But I'm down. Any other thoughts on these viewer questions? Please submit them. Please.
Give us more.
Hashtag Ask Superfriends.
Hashtag Ask Superfriends in the comments down below or on Twitter. But
Right,
it looks like that is going to do it for this episode, which has also been brought to you again by Loot Crate. Loot Crate, you can get 10% off any subscription just by using our exclusive link, www.trylootcrate.com/hybrid network, and the promo code BRIDGE10. Get those savings. Like we said, this month's theme is Origins, and so you'll get something in there related to Captain America, probably. You'll get something related to DC Comics and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Nintendo. They kind of teased it might be King Kong related, although they might have just been doing that as like that's the kind of first.
My favorite
What?
Nintendo character, King Kong.
My
There you go,
favorite
King Kong.
Nintendo King Kong.
If you haven't noticed, I've been drinking heavily throughout this, but no, they drive me to drink. But
This
no,
is good
you know,
because they caught
Donkey
your
Kong.
face on camera.
Donkey King Kong. It's been related to that monkey. But
He's the king, the champ.
he was the king until you killed him in that game. But no,
He killed his
Oh my
son,
God.
his father.
I'm done with this. I'm done with this pitch. Just do it. Just go buy a Loot Crate. Tim, tell the people about Loot Crate. No. But
Loot
that's gonna do
Crate,
it for
good
this episode.
service. Get lots of cool swag from it. Use promo code BRIDGE10 on your purchase. Get 10% off it.
There you
Tim,
go.
much better than I am. Thank you, sir, for coming in clutch there. But that's going to do it for this episode. For Tim,
Coming
Luke,
in clutch.
Nick, and myself, and of course Josh, who watches over us all, and Waru, our greatest questioner of all time. Thank you. This has been Super Friends episode 62. Submit those questions down in the comment section below, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Do you want to see more of our faces, by the way? That's important.
Let us know what format you like the best in the comments.